Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Nutrien. Nutrien, feeding the future.
Hello everyone and welcome to Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. It's also a public affairs presentation of WCJX and WQHL Radio, and we'd like to welcome the listeners to those radio stations to our program today. Our program today is going to be all things Alligator Lake Spring Festival, which is taking place this spring. We've got the founder of the festival as well as some participants. We'll introduce them when we come back. Don't go away. You're watching Perspective on FGC TV.
A Dog's Way Home is the story of the extraordinary lengths a dog will go to in order to get back to their family. Every year, millions of dogs and cats end up in shelters and rescue groups. We found our Bella at a shelter in Tennessee. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover they're all pure love. Adopt pure love and help a shelter pet find their way home at theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Perspective on FGC TV. My guests all represent the Alligator Lake Spring Festival, which is going on at Alligator Lake this spring. We have with us Karen Parker to my immediate left. She is the Public Information Coordinator with FWC, which is the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. We have Nan Soitzman, the owner of Sunrise Wildlife Rehabilitation. We're going to talk to her a little bit about what she does, and we actually have a little guest here we're going to introduce you to that should make everybody go aw. But anyway, and Jackie Sulik, who is the president of Four Rivers Audubon, also one of the founding members of the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You know, I look forward to this every year because you always bring something interesting. We had an alligator one year. We had a couple snakes. We had some falconers here one year that scared me to death because I kept looking to see how far they could reach, or they took a jump at me. But it was very interesting, very educational, and I think what you guys do is extremely important to our region. Jackie, let's talk about first how this all got started, because you had a vision, and I'm gonna brag on you a little bit. You had a vision years ago that this could really be something that could be educational and could call attention to the natural Florida and our natural resources and birds and coexisting with what we live around and what lives around us.
Right. Well, thanks for having us again, Mike. This is the 10th year of the Alligator Lake Spring Festival, and it's going to be bigger than ever. The way it started is we just wanted to have an event for our community to celebrate nature and to connect people with nature. And Alligator Lake is important for two very, very big reasons. One is it's the headwaters of the Ichetucknee, which is critical to Columbia County and our economy here. And it's also a site on the Great Florida Birding Trail. And birding is the second fastest growing industry hobby, I call it a green industry, in the country. So we're trying to preserve and bring the special piece of birding to our community in Columbia County.
Let's talk a little bit about birding itself. The word birding is, you're bird watching, correct? And I mean, how does one go about watching birds? You probably would find out if you went to Alligator Lake Spring Festival to learn a little bit about where you stand, where you find certain types of birds. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, and you asked me how this started. So we decided we really wanted to do this community event, and Four Rivers Audubon does a lot of bird watching, and we take people out the first Saturday of every month at Alligator Lake. We have loaner binoculars, and we teach people how to listen and look and identify, observe. But it's not just about birding, it's about being outside, it's about getting people to understand that birds need things like we do, like water and food and shelter, and trying to save the places where birds can thrive, because we do believe that where birds thrive, people thrive as well.
Let me ask you now, you mentioned about habitat for birds. There are certain plants that you don't think of that exist in nature that birds feed on. There are certain bugs that birds feed on that are attracted to certain types of plants that, I mean, and this whole, it's called an ecosystem for a reason. It's all connected. You also talk about what happens when one of those goes out of phase a little bit and how that could affect birds' habitat.
You have learned your lesson
I
well.
I do, regardless of what people say about me, I do actually listen to what people tell me, but I think it's an important lesson that everybody, they may not get it, that if you do certain things in certain areas, you could upset the ecosystem apple cart.
Right. Well, you're really hitting on the theme for this year because Plants for Birds is really one of the themes for this year, and it has to do with native plants that attract local insects, and most birds and a lot of wildlife have to eat bugs. In fact, I think maybe our little guest today even eats bugs. So no native plants, no bugs, no birds, no wildlife. So we try to share that information with folks. Very important.
Well, and like I said earlier in the show, we had some birds of prey that were here a couple of years ago, and those are different types of birds that actually go after rodents and things like that. That's part of this festival as well.
Right. So we are going to have all the things that we've had before. Well, first of all, April 13th, we need to make sure that we get that date out there. The festival starts at 8 o'clock with bird walks. Then at 10 o'clock, the vendors are available. We have educational displays. That falconer is also going to be back this year, and they really stole the show last year. They have free-flying falcons. They have a show at 1 o'clock. They set the birds up in a bird garden so you can really get up close and personal. We're also going to have Nan is going to be there with some of her animals, maybe some of her owls. She's been the star of the show in the past.
Yeah, here's some video from I guess last year's
Okay,
event.
so here
And
we have some of our plants. Some of them are natives. We also did have garden plants available for sale. So, and very, very knowledgeable people to tell you how to grow them, where to put them. Oh, there's one of our snakes. We had snakes and turtles. Oh, there's one of our little box turtles, or our, I'm not sure which one that one is. Maybe one of our gopher tortoises. Learning how to grow plants hydroponically. There you can see a lot of the displays. We have vendors, which are kind of nature-based and health themed. Oh, there's you, Nan. That's your Sunrise Wildlife Rehabilitation display.
Looks like a Chamber of Commerce day, too.
It is totally a Chamber of Commerce day. In fact, we're joining the Chamber, and they're going to be partners helping us this year, which is great. Beautiful handmade flutes. We have music and food, and just wait till you get to, and there's our table. We have, look at the t-shirt there with the swallowtail kite that comes up and nests here in the summertime. Many people have probably seen that. We're also going to have a lot of new features, which Karen is going to talk about, because last year our festival was so cool that the regional director, Chris Wynn, for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Service came up to us and said, can we partner with you? Oh, Mark Minnow, he's our butterfly guy. He's written 6 books on butterflies. He is
from the University of Florida?
He's from the Water Management District and the university. Absolutely fabulous. He will have everybody crawling around on the ground looking for caterpillars.
And Jackie, for those who have never been here, this is a huge park. I mean, we're not talking about, you're not limited by space. You've got, I mean, look at this. This is about 1,000 acres, the best wildlife viewing spot in the entire county. Really doesn't get a lot of visitors, and on a day like this, though, you'll be shocked. We're expecting about 2,000 people this year. Oh, there's our bird garden. So those are Kitty Carroll's birds of the gauntlet. Those are all falcons, and she does fly those, and they even have kids participate holding up the perches. It's really a crowd pleaser. So that falconry is something else when you can let a bird go a good 300 or 400 yards away and then come back, and it's just majestic to see that they've been trained that way. And I guess Kitty did talk about the fact that they use them to get birds that are pests in some places.
Right, they use them to keep the other birds away. So if you're at a restaurant and all those little Tweety birds are coming and trying to pick up the crumbs, these falcons will come in, and just the fact that they're sitting there, the little birds will go away. So there's a lot of conservation around them as well.
It sounds like the more people get exposed to this, the more they want to either be a part of it or they want to learn more about it. I mean, the fact that you've got the plants there and you have them for sale, if somebody wanted to take some home because they wanted to have maybe a blue jay that likes this kind of bug that is attracted to this plant, it's kind of a neat thing, and you have them for sale very reasonably priced.
Yeah, well, actually, last year we actually gave away about $500 worth of free plants.
Oh, wow.
So we're gonna have a special giveaway this year as well.
Karen, now the Fish and Wildlife has been part of this, but you guys are really all in this year. Talk about what you guys have planned and what's going to be special for those who have never been, and those who maybe have been and want to see something new.
Yeah, we have had some folks out there with like our wildlife trailer, which will be back again. It's a big trailer full of animals depicting a fire scene. Beautifully done. We're also going to have a fishing derby for the kids, so they can come out. We'll stock the Ponderosa Pond out there at Alligator Lake. Kids can come out and fish. We're going to have a canine demonstration. One of our officers will bring his canine, and they're taught to sniff out weapons and deer meat and to catch poachers. So that's always an interesting demonstration. And we'll have, if you're interested in learning how to kayak, we'll bring out some kayaks and have you sign up for that. And you'll be able to go out on the lake with some experienced kayakers just to see if you like it.
Well, and again, you want to encourage people to visit the natural parks or the state parks that we have here and the wildlife management areas. I'm sure there will be some information about the wildlife management areas that are out there, like big shoals, and I know that when your predecessor and I did a video of all the wildlife management areas, and really they're hidden gems that I believe you probably have some information on where to go to see those.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have our hunter regs out there. We'll have our fishing, both salt and fresh water fishing regs out there. So if you have any questions, we'll have the people out there that can answer them. And we have a lot of information and a lot of great places to go. I frequent Alligator Lake and was fortunate enough to hook up with Jackie and her group recently, and they took me under their wing, so to speak, and had a really great day of birding. So if you want to do that, that's great too. But North Florida is just a beautiful area. We've got the Suwannee River, we've got an enormous amount of parks and natural areas where people can go, see wildlife, do birding, just enjoy the nature. So that's really a very important part.
You know, and if people are here brand new to the area, this is not really Florida. I mean, when it is Florida, but what I'm trying to say is that people have a misconception that we're Miami or we're Disney World or we're beaches. They don't know about what we have here. And this is a great opportunity to expose people to that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just the nature that is available up here. I've always maintained that this is the most beautiful part of Florida. Again, you get out on the rivers, you get out into the woods, you see the birds, you see the different wildlife. It's an amazing experience. And the more you get out, the more you enjoy it.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the natural North Florida and how you can be exposed to it and then learn a little bit about it and maybe take day trips here and there. We'll do that when we come back. We're going to take a break. You're watching FGC TV and WQHL and WCJX Radio. We'll be right back.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother. You, your boss, your boss's boss. You, your barber, your barber's barber.
Nice work.
Thanks.
or you, your co-pilot, your co-pilot's co-pilot. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. We're talking about the Alligator Lake Spring Festival, which is taking place April 13th at Alligator Lake Park. I guess, Jackie, back to you. For those who don't know where it is, where is Alligator Lake Park? We're not talking, because I think a lot of people, when they drive down 441, they drive by the lake and they see the tower out in the middle of the lake. That's not the way you get to Alligator Lake Park. We're talking about the total opposite side of the lake.
Right, it's off Old Country Club Road, so you can get there off of Bea, or you can get there from the south end. What you're talking about is kind of the boat ramp on the west side. We want to go all the way to the other side. And you're going to be able to get more information on our website, which is www.fourriversaudubon.org. There should be a map there. Or you can Google Alligator Lake Park. There's a really good map.
And this is a county park.
Yes.
That was
it bought with Preservation 2000 funds.
Right, and it's a very huge lake.
Yep.
Again, as you said in the beginning of the program, it's the headwaters of the Ichetucknee River. We did a thing called the Ichetucknee Trace probably 15 years ago with Jim Stevenson, a wildlife biologist from Tallahassee who worked with the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Service. He did a study basically to find out the water that you have in Alligator Lake flows down underground in the karst underground, and that's where we get a lot of our drinking water, and it ends up in the Ichetucknee River. They did a dye pack, and the dye came up in drinking fountains at Columbia City Elementary School. So he proved his theory that it's all connected. We're all connected, and I think that's another point, Jackie, that you make at this festival, that what you do here is going to affect what happens down there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, Nan Soitzman is the owner of Sunrise Wildlife Rehabilitation in Lake City?
High Springs.
High Springs, okay. So you save wildlife that may have been hit by a car, may have been caught in a trap, or may have been hurt in some way, whether it's maybe a coyote or whatever the circumstance, but you rescue animals. You rescue critters.
We rescue native wildlife. We are wildlife rehabbers and educators. So we take calls from the public. We get a lot of calls from Lake City. Not all the animals need to come in. We can help with giving you advice on renesting. Say a baby squirrel falls out of the tree, and we just helped a lady over here the other day with that. Birds, we had a call about a bird of prey. It didn't need to come in either because it was just mantling over its prey. 9 times out of 10, the animal is injured though, and we can help you with that.
Well, you can also probably identify an animal that has rabies and at least be able to tell people you need to kind of stay away from that, and someone else needs to be called in the situation, because rabies is a fatal ailment.
Absolutely. We just had a bat call, and it was
I saw something in the newspaper about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Teach your children to not handle wildlife. Go get an adult. That's where we can help you with that, to box it and save the animal. But we just say, teach your children, baby birds especially, don't pick up a baby bird. 9 times out of 10, the mother is right there and taking care of the baby, and we get tons of baby birds every year that do not need to come in.
Now, and again, mothers will they disown the little baby no, or is that just a myth?
That's pretty much a myth, unless it is a cottontail, a baby cottontail, or possibly a fawn, but you have to really imprint your smell on it. Wildlife mothers are just like us. They love their children. They, want to be with their children, and,
Well, you brought somebody that I can hardly wait to show our audience. Again, we've had alligators, we've had snakes, we've had turtles, we've had birds of prey, we had a little screech owl.
That was Nan, yep.
And it was funny because we had the one bird was a bird of prey, and the little owl was scared. But that's nature, and again, that was a great example to show here. But you've got a marsupial, for those of you who took biology. This, ladies and gentlemen, for those who may be from up north, is a possum. An opossum.
Opossum.
I think people use the nickname possum, don't like to pronounce the OP in front of this. What's this critter's name?
This is Wendell Walnut, and Wendell Walnut is about 11-month-old Virginia possum, if you want to get technical.
Well, what's the difference between, are these native to here?
Oh yes, absolutely native to here. They're pretty much all over North America. The colder it gets, up in Canada, they have a hard time, but they're very widespread here in North Florida.
Well, unfortunately, the only time a lot of people see these are when they've been hit by a car, and they have no, poor things they're not the quickest things out there.
We always say give a possum a break. They're a beneficial animal to have around. They do not carry rabies. These are one of the few mammals that absolutely do not carry rabies.
What do they eat?
They eat ticks. I'm so glad you asked that. Thousands of ticks. They can actually help curb Lyme disease. They're meticulous groomers.
They're almost like a cat. They're almost cat-like when they groom themselves.
They are. You can see how clean he is.
So is he going to be at the festival?
Wendell's going to be at the festival. We'll be playing wildlife trivia, and
now let's talk about Wendell's situation. You rescued him. What happened to him?
Wendell is now a wildlife ambassador. He has what is called metabolic bone disease, and that is a disease. It's a nutritional deficiency, and if you can see, Wendell's tail's a little wonky, and
now they use the tails to hang upside down from branches to do stuff.
That's a myth.
Oh, is it?
It's another myth.
Okay, well, hey, you learned something new.
Now, they do have a prehensile tail, and it does assist them in climbing, but they cannot climb, they cannot hang like you see in all the pictures. There's a possum.
No, so that's a fallacy. Is it? Well, those photographs were. So that's just something they probably staged so to look cute.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And you'll learn all this. You'll get now. He does he like to be petted?
Yes.
So he's really and you take Wendell to different schools, and what do the kids think when they see Wendell?
The kids love Wendell, and we actually let people pet Wendell back here, not on the business end, just because they do have a lot of teeth.
And they're pretty sharp teeth, aren't they?
They're very sharp teeth, and he would never bite, but you never know. So we let people pet him back here.
You don't know if he's had a bad day,
So my question is, he had malnutrition. Was somebody trying to keep him as a pet?
Yes, he was kept as a pet, which they are very cute when they're small.
Now, how big are they when they're born? I mean, they have to be really tiny, don't they?
They are tiny. They're like a jelly bean. They have a 12-day gestation period.
Oh my!
So they're born. They're tiny. They crawl up into the mother's pouch where they stay there for 100 days, in and out of the pouch towards the end. But
one baby or several?
They can have up to 13 babies.
Okay, so. And when you call them marsupials, they're like a kangaroo. They're pouch creatures.
They're pouch creatures.
So somebody had him as a pet. So people shouldn't keep them as pets.
People shouldn't keep them as pets. We got 4 of them in. A well-meaning man had tried to raise them. They require a specialized diet. They also require permits. So you're not supposed to keep them
because they're. What are some of the drawbacks of having? I mean, obviously the teeth. These are not domesticated animals, and they're. You've had him since he was a baby.
I've had him.
He knows nothing else.
He knows nothing else, and we have special use permits for him, and his purpose in life is to do this. He goes to libraries. Festivals, schools, places of businesses, and teaches people about possums.
Well, and again, you see that this is in the natural wild. You normally would not get to see this animal this close outside of the fact that he's a rescue possum, and he seems like a pretty big hit. I mean, I very quiet, and I can understand he's a cute critter. People would want to, and again, I think there's something in the back of people's minds that I want to have the most unusual pet that people will talk about.
Yes.
The most unusual thing I have is an English bulldog that people talk about. But this is something again that people shouldn't. If you want to see this animal,
Yes.
come to the Alligator Lake Spring Festival and see Wendell.
He acts like he's good.
Like he wants to go for a walk. Now, what does he eat? Typically, you said ticks, but I'm sure there's other things that you don't feed him dog food, do you? Although I've seen
feed him dog food. Yes.
I've seen these pictures of people that have taken pictures of a possum that got into their dog food in their carport.
They absolutely will eat dog and cat food if you leave it out. They're not harmful to your dog or your cat. They don't fight with your dog or your cat. But what Wendell eats, he eats a special diet of vegetables, fruit. We give him, I make a special mixture for him because of his metabolic bone disease. I keep a high calcium, the right diet for him.
Before we go to break, how did you come up with Wendell?
We had a naming contest when we first got Wendell. He was named No Name for quite a long time, and we did 3 events, and we had so many good name suggestions that we took the 2, Wendell and Walnut, and put them together. And
That's cute.
Yeah, the name fits for Wendell. Again, this is awesome. And again, folks, if you want an opportunity to see what you're not going to see any of this in Walmart. You're not going to see this in the mall. This can only be seen at the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. The admission is free. And it's happening April 13th. We're going to take our final break of the program, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Wendell and find out how you can get more information about the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. You're watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College. My favorite time of year is right before the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. We have Wendell Walnut, the opossum, who is a rescue opossum. He will be at the Alligator Lake Festival. It's located on Lake Jeffrey Road. Just go down Bea Avenue. If you're going east, turn right at Old Country Club.
Old Country Club.
Old Country Club Road.
Yep.
Anyway, if you need more information, you can gather it at fourriversaudubon.org. Again, it is Saturday, April 13th. I'm sure that there's still a little bit of time if you want to be a vendor to participate. Just go on that website, and all the contact information for Jackie and all the others that help put this festival together are available to you. Thank you so much for being on the program. Thanks for bringing Wendell. It's always fun to have you here when you have interesting additional guests. And we thank you for watching Perspective on FGC TV, and to the listeners on WQHL and WCJX. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. So long.
See you.